Hi, we'd like to tell you about a couple of very special dogs on this Giving Tuesday. And we're going to start with Sherry.
So Jerome, he is a 9-year-old Chihuahua that arrived here in September 2021. Some of you may remember there was a video done about Jerome because when he arrived, he was not able to close his mouth and his tongue hung out. And usually, what that means is that he has very bad periodontal disease and possibly could have bone fractures due to not getting enough dental care or veterinarian care. So when the vets did their intake on Jerome, that is exactly what happened. He didn't have any teeth left. His disease was the end stage of periodontal disease, and he actually did have bone fractures on both sides of his mouth. And so we went in and we did surgery on him, and they ended up extracting the rest of his teeth, and they ended up having to take his bottom jaw. So he had no jaw. So after his surgery, I ended up taking him home in a foster, and he had a great night. And then the next morning, they wanted to make sure that he was eating and drinking, and he was relaxing and sleeping. Then he took a turn, and when I went over there to see him, it looked like he was having like a stroke, and tried to get him back to get some care, and he didn't make it, unfortunately. And it ended up he had a blood clot and he passed away. Jerome, when he was here, his freedom was short, but he truly enjoyed being with his dog friends. He liked being outside in the sunshine and fresh air. And even though his freedom was short, his impact was great. And there were others that were involved in his care too, and making sure he was cared for and loved. And so no matter how the dogs come in here, we take care of them medically, and no matter what the outcome, we want them to have the best life possible. And now my friend Helen is going to tell us about another dog named Lacey.
So, Lacey was an 8-year-old Yorkie who was rescued in October of 2021. Not too many days after she was rescued, and it was a weekend, she was found very lethargic in her kennel, and it worried us so much that she was actually taken to the ER that night, where they kept her and ran some tests and gave her fluids and nutrition so that she would hopefully perk up. The next morning she came back to National Mail Dog Rescue, and they had thought she had some blood sugar issues. So our amazing volunteers and staff literally would see that if she didn't get fed every hour, she would not be able to raise her head and get lethargic. So we had people feeding her every hour, and she did perk up, and it did help. They gave her some NutriCal, which is like a paste that helps dogs get energy, and some liquid foods and stuff. But we knew that at night she couldn't go a whole night without being fed. So I took her home. What I did was I set my alarm so that I could wake up and feed her, and she responded very well to having nutrition during the night. She was taken back to the kennel on Monday morning, where our vet team put in a lot of work to both help her with her lethargy and to stay hydrated and have nutrition. But they also started the testing to see what was going on with her. And most of these tests do not give you immediate results. So I took her home again that night, and I was really pleased. She did well. She walked around, and oh, by the way, she got snuggles. And so she went back the next day to the kennel, and the vet team again worked hard to try and figure out what was going on with her. And she came home with me again that night, and I couldn't get her to eat. She had to be given food with syringes, and I could see that she kind of wanted it, but then, that look of I'm feeling kind of nauseous would happen. So I knew things were not looking good. So the next morning, I actually called to let them know that I had concerns and she was going to be picked up and taken to the kennel. And they had found results from a blood test that showed that her body was not processing protein at all. She was starving to death. And unfortunately, we had all hoped that she would have something that we could do something about, but this was an unfixable problem. And so we gave her the gift of freedom from pain, which was a blessing and, of course, difficult at the same time. I'm glad she got to snuggle and know love before this happened. And so what I would just like to say is that one of the things I'm the most proud of about National Mill Dog Rescue is that when a dog has a need, everybody kicks in and helps. Volunteers, staff, vet team, we all do anything we can to make it work for this dog. And you can also help us to work for the dogs by giving on Giving Tuesday. And we really appreciate everything we are able to do for them because of you all.